Hey guys out there, it's Dave Duford. I got Mr. Kenny Lamons and Ethan Glidewell from Medicare Millennials here to talk to you about agency building. Say hello, Kenny and Ethan.
What's
What's up,
up?
guys?
Yeah, my friends in the business here have been building a Medicare agency nationally. Maybe you've seen their YouTube channel. If you haven't already, subscribe, would you? They've done a fantastic job and agreed to jump on in an interview with me, kind of talk about their experience building an agency. So this content is perfect for you if you are aspiring one day to build an agency and you want some under the hood type of a look at how things are operated when it comes to finding agents, training them, how to find the good ones, how to get rid of the crappy ones, and all that stuff. So we're going to kind of do a good 1,000-foot overview of why they got started in the agency building game, what their niche is, why they chose it, how they find prospects, and what they do with them to get them trained and what their long-term goals are. So why don't we go ahead and do a little intro with you guys if you guys out there in my audience haven't met Kenny and Ethan. Kenny, if you want to start, just kind of give us a rundown of Medicare Millennials and what you guys do.
Absolutely. So, like David said, my name's Kenny Lamons. Our channel is Medicare Millennials. You can find us on YouTube or Instagram. And I'm a Medicare agent, and I sell most senior life insurance products, specifically Medicare, and some final expense, some ancillary products. And what's unique about Ethan and I is that we are both still active weekly field agents. So I run face-to-face appointments off of direct mail leads. I do a lot of local networking to build like a local brand for Medicare prospects in my immediate area. And then on top of that, we provide what I believe are useful training videos for new and existing Medicare agents to glean from us, duplicate some of our success, or at least learn some tips and tricks from the way that we do business. And as a result of that, if we find an agent that's a good fit and really wants to hop on board with us, then we provide that coaching and mentoring for them to build their business with us. So,
And Ethan?
Yeah, guys. Ethan Gladwell here. This month is officially marks 6 years in the business. And just to kind of add on to what Kenny has said here is, guys, the entire 6 years, Kenny and I have both found joy and happiness and purpose really in training and teaching people exactly what we've gotten to do, the opportunity that we've gotten to be a part of within the last 6 years. And it's been incredible. So as far as starting Medicare Millennials, it really kind of just happened organically. It was something that we knew we needed to do. We needed to spread that information on a much larger scale. And that's where it all began.
Cool. So you guys have been doing sales in some capacity, final expense, then Medicare on a personal production basis. And what's been a couple of years now since you got into the agency side. What was y'all's motivation to transition some of your time from just strictly personal production to building an agency?
well, it happened during COVID. We had made a temporary transition that I went back into the field since then, but where we were mostly all selling over the phone, right? And so as I was sitting there in the office calling direct mail leads, I literally just took my same face-to-face Medicare lead and process and just kind of tweaked it a bit to do it over the phone during peak COVID when nobody knew what was going on. And during that time I was sitting in the office, I was like, man, we started at a captive agency. We used to train agents. We used to help recruit agents. We didn't get much out of it. We were kind of whipping boys, and we were at a bad cat. It wasn't really good financially for us, but we did enjoy training and helping agents. I remember that. We would have liked it a lot more had we made some money on it in a better situation. So fast forward, I'm sitting there. I've been watching your channel for years. I'm seeing a few other guys putting out, but nobody was really putting out, in my opinion, very much good specific Medicare information. So I thought, man, how easy would it be for us to just throw a few videos out there and see what happens? Because I think that we have a unique platform. We are actively field agents. We're not the old fat dude telling you 50 years ago we built an agency. You're not. We're actively in the field. We can maybe appeal a little bit more to the younger demographic, which can be hard to attract into the insurance industry, right? Like, we know that as agents are retiring out of the business, the average age of the agent of an agent in this insurance industry is pretty old, relatively speaking. And we thought it would be important to try our best to reach other young people about what a great opportunity this is to get into. I would say that was the motivation, to scratch that itch of training and coaching again. And also we saw a unique opportunity. There wasn't a lot of good info out there, especially targeted. Not that we'll only work with younger people. We just felt like we wanted to specifically relate to them that this business is good. So
that's awesome.
Ethan, was that something you guys decided on at the time when you got started? Did you just kind of think, well, you worked into this like, hey, we're millennials, let's appeal to that demographic? Or is that just something that you guys decided on up front?
Kenny's been dragging me along the entire time. I got to say, a lot of times I'm a lot of dead weight in a lot of different ways, but I just real fast on kind of what started it for me. Just a small story was I ran into a couple, very low income. They were having a lot of trouble with their insulin costs and things like that. And I called the lady that knew everything, at least at the time, knew everything about Medicare. And I called her and I explained to her the situation, and it was like a July or something. And she goes, sorry, there's nothing that you can do because of the time of year. And then fast forward and seeing when we learned about special election periods and LIS and all these different programs for people that truly can help these people, that's when I believe I realized that we've got to get this word out, not only for, for other agents, but for our clients. And so I bet the best way we could have done that, of course, is getting on YouTube, getting the word out, letting people know that there is a way most of the time to help people out. And man, that sure does make the difference. That story right there really it was burned into my brain.
Right. Cool. And guys, we'll be getting to kind of the conversation of YouTube, because that's where I think you guys would agree it's your primary strategy to find agent prospects. We'll kind of get into details of how that works, what you could do to implement this on your own. So stick with us on that. But taking a step back, I'm interested. You mentioned already, you decided to niche into Medicare. You kind of talked about there wasn't a lot of information, but there's also obviously the decision you're going to focus on Medicare above all else. What are the reasons, Kenny, that you guys decided to go the Medicare route, not like final expense or something else?
Yeah, I think there's a kind of a few reasons that I can narrow down pretty concisely. The first one is, again, I love YouTube. That's where I've learned to do a lot of things. Like I mentioned, your channel, Cody Askin's channel, I've been watching that for years and admired them. And when Ethan and I transitioned on a personal level to focusing on selling Medicare plans, I couldn't find that same depth of information that I used to get kind of about final expense and some other things. So that's a big part of why we saw the opportunity to niche down there. But also what we've seen, because we've done this, we've been recruited into an organization, sold the pie in the sky. But what I found was a lot of those systems and those products are set up for one-time, mostly higher upfront commissions that really require you to engage in a rat race that doesn't really ever end in order to be successful. And so if you have that kind of work ethic that just never goes away, then there's nothing wrong with that. But if you want to be somebody who says, I want to put in 5 years as hard as I can and then be able to slow down over time, Medicare is one of the rare opportunities that has the long-term residual income and relatively low management, right? Like, yes, of course you have to answer phone calls, but the moment you hit 200 clients, you don't need to hire a full-time employee. You can handle 500, you can handle 800. Maybe once you get 1,000 customers, you may bring on a part-time CSR to help you manage that book. But it gives you the long-term renewals with little, not as much heavy lifting on the back end as some other industries like personal or PNC,
right?
Home and auto. And so that is why. And also the FMO that we work with, that we partner with, made it easy for us to focus on Medicare. So the combination of those three things, right? Did that answer your question, Dave?
Yeah. And pointed now to Ethan. can you explain to the audience the importance of niching down, not just in the agency setting, but also when it comes to YouTube? What advantages do you guys think you got from focusing pretty much exclusively on Medicare? I mean, at least 80% of your content's Medicare based, I would say, if not more. What do you think you gained from that niche focus that maybe you wouldn't if you went to, say, final expense or insurance in general?
We gained the brand recognition and brand awareness. I think both what I'm about to say applies to both people on YouTube, agents and things like that, as well as clients. And that when I go into a house or when I call somebody on the phone, I am so confident at this point when I talk about anything Medicare that I metaphorically fry it into their brain, right? Like I am the Medicare man. And that really didn't catch any traction, both YouTube and clients for quite some time. But what I found is the more people that you help, the better that you get, letting them know that that's what you do. You're the Medicare guy. And really that's where the referrals come in as far as the customer side. Sure. And as far as the agent side, I mean, I've been to dozens, Kenny and I both, and you, of course, David, been to dozens of conferences where people are running up to you like we did you, Duford, running up to you. And they're like, hey, I've watched all your videos. You're almost famous in their eyes. It's such a weird thing. The last conference I just went to, I remember Kenny saying that. He's like, man, these people are coming up. And I'm like, whatever, dude. But no, he was absolutely right. These people come up and almost act like you're famous. They want to pick your brain. They want to hear what you're doing. And they will just sit there and listen to what you have to say. And that right there, that is awesome. So both on the client side and on the agent side, it's a feeling that it's hard to describe until you get there.
I would like to add to that too, like that brand recognition, but also because we niche down, we can to such a niche that didn't have a ton of pressure and still doesn't. Like it's wide open. Come on over.
It is.
But we rank for search terms related to Medicare. That is such a big deal. I know not every video that we put out is life-changing and going to get 1 million views, but we have several videos that get hundreds or a couple thousand views month in and month out, simply because since we've niched down into a specific thing, YouTube has found us credible enough that when agents are searching for certain things related to Medicare, they're going to find us. And so if you are trying to build an agency and your only way to reach agents is to call the licensed agent list, like imagine if you figured out what you could specialize in and allowed a giant platform to funnel people to you because you delivered an important niche information that people were looking for already. So.
Yeah, it's one thing I can tell all y'all from firsthand experience. YouTube wants to pigeonhole you. They want to take the kind of content you're known for and present you to that type of searcher, right? That looks for whatever you're pigeonholed as, right? There are certain kinds of content that, for me personally, that never really pick up as much steam. And even though I think it's good because I'm pigeonholed in a particular different way, and you have to play to that pigeonhole. And I think when you niche down on the YouTube, when you do a lot of videos and content around a particular subject matter, as opposed to being generic and wide ranging, that's not a guarantee. But if you deliver world-class content every time, YouTube notices that through your metrics on how long somebody stays on your video on average, how many views it gets, right? Because the more time a user's on platform with YouTube, the more ads that YouTube can show that person, right? The more they can monetize the viewership and the revenue for YouTube. So they're going to play you preferentially when you've mastered that particular pigeonhole or niche that you're in. So I think it's kind of twofold here, right? Like there's definitely the advantage of niching down as an agency because you develop a brand name, people know you as that. And when they're ready to get into Medicare, as many times I think, people don't start with Medicare, they start with something else, get into it. They're going to think of you guys more often because of that. And then number two, I think from the marketing side, when you're known, at least on the social side, especially in a long tail, evergreen kind of content, meaning stuff that sticks around for years content, like on YouTube's platform, like that stuff, man, you're the first thing that's going to show up, or you're going to be one of the top 3. And when somebody's looking and do due diligence, it's life-changing, as you guys have discovered. So,
well, Dave, you said something there that I think is probably going to lead into one of the questions you're going to ask us. So I want to, you mentioned like if you consistently put out world-class content. Okay. And I've talked to people who are interested in having a YouTube channel for whether it's to build an agency or otherwise. And one of the main questions that they ask me, not that I'm some great YouTuber, but I've had some early success. Me and Ethan are very proud of the channel that we have. What I've found personally is you don't have to have world-class video editing, world-class cameras, world-class microphones, world-class thumbnails. You need to have adequate equipment, just adequate to where like it can be 1080p or HD, right? Just where it's not, looks like it was recorded in 2000, right? It needs to look decent. Your sound needs to be decent. This is an $89 microphone. Like, you can afford that if you want to do this. No, I do no video editing. It's all one cut. What YouTube cares about is just that minimum level of adequate production quality, very minimum production quality. What they care about is the content.
Right.
Like, are the words that you're saying providing the value and information that the person searching on YouTube wants to hear? And if you think you've got something to say that other people are looking for that information and would find it valuable, don't get caught up in the minutia of fancy clips and cuts and editing and equipment. I mean, throw a light in your face, grab a cheap mic and a decent webcam from Walmart and just record. And it's your quality of content and how you present that from a titling standpoint that's going to pay the dividends. So
I used to watch a YouTuber called Sticks Hexenhammer. You guys know what I'm talking about? Guy from years ago. He's never got a shirt on. He's wearing a leather jacket. He's got long hair. He's just a real geek. And the reason I bring him up is because the cut of the video is always the same. It's him looking at the camera in like some, junk filled Aladdin background, but it was always the same angle. There was nothing different about it, but it was him basically prognosticating on politics and whatever, right? People didn't come for the effect of the clips. They came for the quality of the content shared. And I think we're in a niche like ours. The key thing is to deliver. When I say world-class content, you're 100% right to clarify that. It's not on the clips. It's not on the value of the camera. It's got to be good enough. And all of us can achieve good enough. It's relatively affordable. But what you cannot get all the time is the quality of that content, what is delivered. And that's the differentiator in this business. And the people who come on and do YouTube, and there are some out there that don't deliver content, they don't ever get the kind of traction that somebody who gives it all away, who cares about giving as much help as they can without any expectation in return. That's the secret. That's pretty much out there. But you got to execute on that. And about that, it's funny, like this right here, I'll show you guys on the screen here. That's my hearse backing up against front porch. This was my old camera I used for years. And, I've had this camera for like 4 or 5 years, and it's not as high quality as the other one, but I can be heard, I can be seen, and it delivers what is necessary, which isn't the looks, it's the quality. So if there's anybody out there that wants this, like, that's the secret. Of course, it's a lot easier said than done because you have to deliver a lot of quantity of quality content, and it's got to be differentiated, niche down, exactly like these guys have done it. So let's talk about results because, we've kind of gotten ahead of ourselves here, but that's okay. The presumption here, we've been talking about YouTube for 10 minutes. Obviously, YouTube is how you guys find your agent prospects, correct? That's where the vast majority come from, I take it. Is there any other sources, social media that is
Instagram.
A little bit of Instagram.
What do you think? 80-20 YouTube?
90-10.
90. Is that profoundly better? Okay. So what is it, to just kind of round out this conversation, what is it about YouTube, do you think, that delivers so much more value in uncovering agents than Instagram or other social media?
I personally think that when people think of Instagram or Facebook, they're not necessarily going on there to learn. They're going on there to scroll, view pictures, videos, things like that. And that's what I use the Instagram for, right? It's just a short little clip, whether it be, bragging a little bit with Kenny and I on the boat, or whether it be something that I just learned or encountered and wanted to share, where it doesn't have to be a 10, 15-minute video. It could be 1 to 3 minute video. And I've had a lot of success with it. A lot of people enjoy that, like myself. I'm not a huge YouTuber, I guess, just because I don't like the fact that I can't close my phone or do anything else. And so I tend to navigate, or I guess gravitate more towards Instagram. And just, I guess not even when I'm trying to learn, but I just try and I go towards Instagram. But like on YouTube, like people are going there to learn something. And it's almost, if not more popular than like Google, in my opinion. You know, I used to Google an answer. Why the hell am I going to Google something and then sift through all the BS and then, you know, all that, when I can just get on YouTube? I see somebody that has 100,000 followers. Clearly they know what they're talking about. I'm going to click on this guy or girl and I'm going to listen to what they have to say. I just think that that is so much more valuable than Instagram. And also, kind of like you said, Duford, when we were together last in Houston, that may have been Florida. Anyway, you showed me something about YouTube that I just really didn't have any idea on. It breaks everything down, from age to gender to how long somebody's been watching to, and that'll tell you guys, that'll tell you exactly what the people want to listen to and want to watch. And that alone, that information and that data alone allows us to continue getting bigger and better every single time.
Kenny, you want to add anything to that?
I would just say that it's exactly what he said, but it's kind of a take on it is, when you get on YouTube, you're going to spend at least 2 minutes to 10 minutes to 2 hours on 1 or 2 pieces of content.
Yeah.
And so when you get that kind of viewership, if you're able to provide value enough that people want to watch you for that long, you develop a relationship without ever actually meeting the person.
Yeah.
I mean, and when
it goes
somebody
back to
already
going somewhere and people going,
Yeah.
Kenny. Yeah.
So when you're trying to offer an opportunity to somebody that you think might be a good fit for them, the number one barrier, like any sale, is trust. And when they know you through YouTube, a lot of that trust has already been built. So
yeah, it's crazy. Like what YouTube has provided me, as it is for you all, is that you tap into the celebrity like benefits that, Hollywood would be the only ones seeing, right? But we do it at a micro scale. We're famous people that nobody knows, but in this weird little niche. But you still get the feeling and sense that it builds this kind of rapport and trust, and done so at scale without personally obligating your time to generate it. Like it's exponentially scalable. Like I'm sitting back here right now, I will get probably 3,000 views today. And my average view is 8 minutes long. That's 8 minutes sitting down with me. And I'm not even there, right? Something I did years ago sometimes. And those people out there are learning who I am. Not all of them, but a portion of them are gaining and building a relationship with me. But it's so strange because it's not the typical approach where it's an active involvement in the present, and it's scalable. But it is the great equalizer, I think, in the sense of, if you want a leverage point or advantage, you have to create trust, like Kenny said. And there's no better medium to do that where there's so little distractions, as others have lots of distractions. But this one, you can make that connection in ways that are just unparalleled. And if you do it right, man, it is the growth engine. And I think, I'll say this, guys, and then you guys jump back in. I think YouTube's plenty of opportunity in it. I think you can come in and still, if you've got an angle and you're entertaining and certainly informative, you have a way to get into this. You can definitely do it. And why are Kenny, Ethan, and me talked about it? Because most people won't do it. Most people won't sit down and do the work. They're too scared. They think, oh, I'm not pretty, or I'm ugly, or I sound like a moron. Well, so what? You should go watch my old videos. And, I wasn't comfortable doing them, but I got over it and did it anyway. And I got better, just like anything in life. And that fear is going to keep 99% of you watching this out of it, but it's wide open for the people that want to get over themselves and just do it, in a world of opportunity that's unlike really anything else. Yep. You guys want to jump into that?
Amen.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Okay. Let's keep going on.
And
Here.
it's certainly so
Okay.
much easier than getting a list of agents and calling them. Kenny, I know you know what I'm talking about.
Dude, I couldn't even imagine picking the phone up. Like, I hate doing that. Like, even cold marketing and like, I don't even have an edge anymore. Like, I don't have that advantage to where when I pick up the phone, it's like, Dave, man, I've watched your stuff for years.
Yep.
So that's like, what can you even get anything in comparison to that? And that's what cold calling for people is, or putting up ZipRecruiter ads. You just don't tap into that same impact.
Yeah.
You know, so I hope YouTube never goes away. All right, let's keep going here. How long did it take you guys to start getting traction? That's a great question. So you guys started doing videos, right? You started niching down to Medicare. At what extent did it take before you started seeing results?
Let me go to my studio real quick.
It was certainly slow and steady. Yeah, go ahead and take a look at it. It seemed like, you know, like you were talking about, Dave, is like getting over that fear of whatever it may be, which, guys, I've put out 100 videos, and guess what? Every video that I put out, I'm still like, God, I hope my wife doesn't watch that. That was terrible. I don't know if I'm ever going to get over that, right? But like Dave said, you're going to continue getting better. You're going to, again, with YouTube's algorithms, going to tell you what the people want. So,
and I'll tell you this, like, if you have a hang up personally about how you sound or how you look, just dig a little deeper into YouTube. You'll see some pretty weird people out there, and they've got hundreds of thousands, millions of subscribers because they speak authentically, and people appreciate that. And people aren't nearly as judge worthy as I think we think in our minds they are.
If they are, who cares?
Yeah, who really cares, right?
So our first video was May 9th of 2020. It kind of shows you a line graph of kind of like views, subscribers, impressions.
Mhm.
If you look at your channel analytics, and ours is just kind of looks like a linear graph. So it was like just a very steady progression. We didn't have any giant spikes where all of a sudden we were achieving a lot more in the niche. What it was if you look at it, we put out 2 to 3 videos a week, every single week, over the course of almost 2 years now. And in the course of that time, we've had a very linear trajectory that looks nice and smooth and growing. And so I would say within the first year, we got maybe 10 to 20 people that were interested in working with us. It would have been more, but we didn't have a call to action for like the first 6 to 8 months because we didn't know any better. Does that make sense? So we weren't saying like, hey, not only are we agents and here's a bunch of valuable knowledge about what we're doing, but also would you be interested in working with us? We weren't saying that yet, really.
Right.
But we still, just even without saying that, had maybe 10 or 20 people reach out, let's say the first 8 months. That's when it clicked. I'm like, okay, you know, we've already got like 150 subscribers. Like, why? That's pretty good. When we added the call to action, and then some of the first videos from 8 months, before started gaining more traction in the rankings, it just kind of snowballed from there. I would say unless you get lucky and just strike a pin, like with a really popular video for whatever reason, you need to expect to put out 50 to 100 videos over the course of 6 to 12 months to begin to be recognized by the YouTube algorithm to any degree. But we're not talking 5 years, guys. Like, if you're consistent every single week and do 2, 3, 4, 5 videos a week, that's good quality information within a niche. I believe realistically that it should take you 1 to 2 years before you can really start, weekly getting prospects reach out to you that are interested in joining your agency.
Right.
Would you say that's realistic, what I shared there?
If you do everything right, I could pull my graph up. I got traction early on, but it became much better after like 3 years. But if you look at the first 3 years of my efforts, I wasn't nearly as consistent as I am now. When I started picking up a lot of viewership, and I think January 2017, I was like, crap, this stuff actually works. So I'm going to put out like 3 or 4 videos a week. And
well,
ever
Dave,
since,
just for reference, I'm just curious because I don't have a big reference point. I'm just sharing what our channel's done. But we're in 2 years now. We have around 2,600 subscribers. We get about 8,000 views a month. how long was it before your viewership was around that? If you had to guess, or if you could look,
Yeah, I'll pull it up on the screen. Hold on one second.
And while he's looking at that, one thing that I've really have done that helps me stay consistent on the videos is, guys, you're not going to feel like recording a video every single day. Life happens, things happen. So what I typically do is when I am in the talking mood and I've got things to say, I sit down and I'll record 3 or 4 videos at one time. I found that that's the best. And then you can kind of put in different times, right, Kenny? You can schedule different times of when you want to post those. That really, really helps. So it's not like we've got new things to say every single day.
So I'll share this with you because this is interesting to look at. So this is lifetime views. And you can see I started with this one way back here, like May something 2014. Just a few here and there, but then something happened, I think 17, I was getting hundreds a day and I was like, okay, this is good. And then right about the turn of 2018, there's a big spike. And I don't think this is anything like viral, but I just started getting more traction and I started playing into the trend. And you can see I've gotten up to the point where I'm pretty stable, like for the last couple of years, it's been pretty consistent, like the weekly flow of viewership and et cetera. But like, it took me this long, but if you go look at the breakdown of the videos, there just isn't a ton of these over here, and that's part of the reason is I started slow. But if you start this intelligently and you put a lot of effort up front, I think you should make daily content. I think you should at least do Monday through Friday content, niche down in whatever it is that you're doing. I think that starts to go a little faster. I think there's some pro tips here I can say, guys, if you want to increase the rate of which you're going to get more subscribers and viewership, is do collaborations with other creators. That's probably the best thing you can do is just interview somebody, call up Dave Duford, Cody Askins, say, here's what I do. Can you come on and talk? That will show the algorithm that the algorithm loves collaboration, YouTube algorithm. And it'll help share your content with their audience and likewise the other way around. And so you want to there's really no competition on YouTube. There's collaboration. And the more you can get on different channels, the more exposure you have. And I think the more of that you do, the faster you can kind of up in this sandbox time you got to get out of, So.
Yeah. And I would just like to point out on that 2 things. Number one, the more niche it is, you may not get the total numbers as fast, but you're going to gain more traction within those like search terms and that category of people. So if you want to start a channel that says, I can train you on anything related to senior insurance, annuities, life insurance, Medicare, heart, cancer, stroke, dental, vision, and reverse mortgages too, like that's great. I'm not saying you can't have success with that platform, but it's going to take you longer to have enough content to for you to be in all of those search terms. So the more you niche down, I think the more higher chance you have for a faster growth trajectory. I would also say to that, you do not have to quit being an agent to do this. Every single week I am in the field right now.
Why? Can you explain that? Why? So a lot of agents are thinking, well, I don't want to sell anymore. That's why I want to build an agency, right? But that's probably not a good idea. Can you explain why you still sell and build an agency at the same time? Again, keep going down your line of thought too.
Yeah, I'll name 2 reasons for me. And then Ethan, I want you to talk about this. But for me, here's why. Number one, the first 3.5, 4 years of my career were at a captive agency where everything I built, I walked away with nothing. Okay. So I am not, I'm not a 50-year insurance veteran that has $10 million a month in renewals. It's not even close to that. I didn't start on a high renewal based product until 3 years ago. So I'm just now beginning to feel my own personal my own personal renewals from my Medicare efforts now. I'm just now starting to really feel those. And so but it was necessary and still is for me to get out there, continue to grow my personal book of business as my basis to feed my family and to give me comfort, right? Sell my final expense when I can, build my Medicare book right now, so that in another year or 2, I may be at the point where that's way more than enough to live on and then some alone without any overrides. So one reason is by necessity, like good for if your spouse makes $500,000 a year, then quit doing everything and do nothing but YouTube. Most of us aren't in that situation. But the second reason, I believe it's part of me and Ethan's differentiator. If you are interested in working with me and Ethan and letting us coach you on Medicare, I kid you not, I sometimes you'll call me and I'll be in a house too. Like we're on the phone selling too. We're fresh, we're sharp because we're out there selling these policies every day. And I believe that at this point in with us kind of starting to build an agency, it helps resonate with what we're doing. And then finally, to put that all together, Medicare overrides are not gigantic. I'm not going to get into the details of all of that, but with life insurance, you can expect a little bit bigger of an override because there's a bigger upfront commission for everybody. With Medicare, it's just like building your own personal book. If you recruit 10 agents, you're getting a small override in the course of time. And so it's more of a compounding investment that's going to pay off in 3, 4, 5 years plus, not so much in year 1 or 2. I hope that answers that question, but Ethan, please speak to that.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest reasons, just to really add on to what Kenny said on that last point, was the reason that we still sell is to stay relative. I have agents ask me week in and week out, what lead piece am I using? What success am I seeing? They're asking me things that if I haven't done in 5 years, I would be rusty. I wouldn't be relevant at that point. So it helps us stay relevant, allows us to talk about it because, guys, the biggest way that we come up with things to talk about on YouTube is we run into it. And so when we run into it, Kenny and I, we talk 7 times a day. We talk about things that we ran into. We're like, that's a good idea. We talk about that all the time. And I'm sure everybody else runs into it. So we've got to talk about that and make sure everybody else knows. And then second, I'm a salesman. I enjoy talking. I enjoy selling. I enjoy telling stories. I find success in it, and so I don't know if I'll ever be able to 100% give up the sales role just because that's where I almost find my identity in. But it certainly has tapered off just a little bit. So I have to find some time to both do YouTube and selling. And sometimes that gets a little tough, but I don't know, that it's in my blood. It's what I've done for the last 10 years. It's what I love.
It's also easy. Like once
at this point, it's easy.
Medicare sales is easy and fun. Yeah. When I say easy, I don't mean to sell some pie in the sky crap. There's a lot of
easier than final expense.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Relatively much.
I started selling final expense. So I'm decent at that, but Medicare, once you get it down, it's so easy. It's just like, you feel like an expert at it, like you feel needed, you feel valued and wanted. And I like that. I like to start out my day with a husband and a wife in my town. I answered or solved all their Medicare problems, and they're thanking me, patting me on the back on the way out the door. And I know I have customers till the day I die. Right then and there. So I just still enjoy that. Even as my income has grown, I still enjoy selling Medicare products too. So
what's y'all's long-term goal to wrap this up here?
Talk about it daily.
Good question, Dave. We try to make it from day to day and week to week.
Yeah, survive.
So I can answer this pretty concisely. To me, I would like to find a really cool, healthy balance of my wife's about to get licensed, kind of help with some CSR stuff in my personal business, where I would like to see a healthy local presence where I've got 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 local Medicare clients that are directly me and my wife's that we take care of and just replace fall off with our local presence, and balance that with a coaching and recruiting agency where we can take quality people and quality agents and coach them. And in other words, I truly think that I can have that local agency and maybe hire one person plus my wife to help manage it, and still also be a great trainer and recruiter and kind of do both of those things long term. That's one thing I envision. And so I want to be picky about the agents that we work with, not because I like someone better than the other, but because it's better to find the right fits for you than it is to cast a wide net and not, because if you don't like me and I don't fit with you, I'm not going to bring the value to you that I will to another agent. And I want to recognize that. So Ethan, what about you?
One of my longer term goals, I've already accomplished. I wanted to retire my wife out of the W-2 world and allow her to chase whatever dreams she wanted to chase, which we've accomplished there. Which, guys, is huge. I think I talked about this in Houston a little bit. I mean, you've got to get the spouse on board for one, because you get sold on the opportunity, but you never turn around and sell your spouse. You're just going to say, hey, I'm going to go sell insurance. And so you got to sell the spouse. And, you know, for me, at least, it was several years before it ever gained any traction. In fact, it got to a point where my wife was like, dude, get out of here. Let's go do something else. And thankfully found Medicare and really built that business. And now it's just the flexibility and the freedom that we have from that is immaculate and incredible. So that was one of my more maybe mid-level goals. And kind of just like Kenny had mentioned, we love training, we love teaching, we love coaching, mostly to people that want to be taught, trained, and are coachable. We want to change people's lives like it has changed ours. The way we got into this business was probably how most people get in, the pie in the sky thing. Everybody knows a rich insurance person, but hardly anybody gets there. Our mission, I believe, is to really get that word out there, show people how to do this business, not just give them a contract and say good luck. We want to train people. We want to take that 92% fail rate and we want to get that down. And so that's going to look like more YouTube. That's going to look like more boot camps, more courses, things like that. That's ultimately where I want to stop almost selling the client. And I almost want to start, you could call it selling, helping, whatever, the
Sure.
agent. I think there's a lot of value there, because if we can help more agents can help more clients.
Right. 100%. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here. Appreciate it. Kenny, Ethan, where can we find out more about you? Maybe on YouTube?
YouTube.
MedicareMillennials.com, at Medicare Millennials on Instagram, at Medicare Millennials on YouTube.
Easy enough.
That's
guys.
direct
Thanks
access
a
to it.
lot. Yeah. Appreciate you guys. We'll see you around.
Thanks, Dave.
Have a good day.
Take care.